The seminar is on value education, why and how. This, as you know, value education is a burning topic and it is an in subject now because of various reasons. The present scenario is this, that all over the world, the teenagers particularly are in turmoil. UNESCO also has got alarmed. In fact, 1982, UNESCO gave a mandate to all the educational institutions, education to be, not only education to do. Because they discovered that at that time 54% of the students, youths of America, Japan and Sweden were not meeting natural death. The cause of their death was suicide. Suicide, drug addiction, violence among the teenagers, among the youths, among the students. So, and it is now increasing. And what was the Western trend has come now in India. Every day in the newspaper you find one or two suicides. Whether it is in Ahmedabad or Baroda or Bombay, number of suicides is increasing. Second thing is restlessness. Children are becoming hyperactive. So many parents come to me with the complaint, the child is hyperactive. Very smart, very intelligent, but hyperactive, very difficult to control. Third thing, violence is increasing. Terrorism is increasing all over the world. What is the real cause of all this? We have to think about it. As a national, this is I am telling you from the international level, the world level, all over the world, not only in India, all over the world, this phenomenon is there. Number of suicide is increasing. Drug addiction is increasing. Number of mental patients are increasing. According to National Institute of Mental Health in America, on an average, at least one person regularly goes to a psychiatrist. According to Ministry of Health, Japan, 42% of the executives and employers and other people all above the age of 44 are suffering from mental disorder. Youth are also increasing in number in mental problems and schizophrenia. Violence is increasing. You know the incident of Columbian School. Two young students, they just took the gun of the father, fired at his father, fired the father, he was killed, came to the school, killed the teachers, killed the students. These incidents are multiplying now. And whatever happens in America or UK happens in India after 5 years, maximum 7 years. We have to be prepared for that. If we do not take an urgent action in the matter, we are going to have the same trend of violence, of schizophrenia, mental patient, drug addiction, Columbian School incidents. Already it happened once in Delhi, the two children, you know about it. How the children are getting kidnapped and are kidnapping others. In UK, everywhere the news came, in UK, an 11-year girl got pregnant and the 14-year father, 14-year boy has become a father and he wants to father the child of that girl who is 11 years. And in Gujarat also one incident has happened when an 11-year girl has given rise to a child. Same trend has already come. As far as the national scenario is concerned, Transparency International carried out a survey all over the world. Which are the countries having highest corruption? And they found out there are 10 countries where the corruption is highest. And one of them is Mera Bharat Mahan. Our great country. India is one of the top 10 countries having highest corruption. And much more surprising for you, would be to know that the highest corruption among all this, there are so many areas in which corruption was done. And the one area in which highest corruption was done was the area of education, in the field of education. 21,600 crores rupees of corruption was done in the field of education. Swami Vivekananda said, education alone is the panacea of all our evils, of all our problems. बाद में देना, यार अगलो सब. Education alone is the panacea of all our evils and all our problems. So, the only magic lantern, the only magic formula by which we are going to change the situation is education. And there is highest amount of corruption in education. What to do? Sri Ramakrishna used to give a story. A person was possessed by a ghost. So they called an oza, Bhua ne bulavyo. So the Bhua came, oza came, he sat down in the asana, and then he had his various articles for his puja and all that. Now came the time when he took up the mustard seeds and started uttering the mantras, very powerful mantras. Now the ghost was very intelligent. It discovered that the mantras are so powerful that there will be no other way but for him to fly, but to go away. So what did he do? He immediately entered into the mustard seeds. Now, the mustard seeds with which you are going to drive away the ghost, those mustard seeds contain the ghost. How do you drive away? The education by which you want to bring a transformation in the whole system and remove corruption and bring values, that education is the highest corruption. So many education institutes are coming up. It has become a business now, commercial house. And this is the most profitable business. Why? You get so many types of concessions. Land at concession, maybe free of cost. Everything at concession. And no taxes. And you can mint money. You can take donation. You can take fees. Everything. Plus name and fame. Oh, such a nice person. He has created such a big institution. He is serving the society. He alone knows how he is serving the society. This is a phenomena has come in India. And at the individual level, everybody is under tension. You ask anybody, how are you? Fine. And then you go nearer. Any problem? My God, so many problems. If we put into the computer, they will not be felt. Everybody has problem. Everybody is under tension. Very young girl. I asked her, how are you? I am in tension. Huh? Such a young girl, you are in tension? What is the matter? She said, Swamiji, I am in senior KG. Last year I was in junior KG, I got first class first. My mom has told this time also you have to get first class first. I am under terrible tension. And I am giving you a very living example. Some years back, one of our devotees who gives his honorary service as an engineer, when I was in Porbandar, now I am in Baroda for the last 5 years, before that I was in Porbandar. At that time, the engineer who used to give his honorary services, he suddenly said, Swamiji, I will have to go back to, he is from Rajkot, I will have to go to Rajkot. Why? No. My son's daughter, my granddaughter is in trouble and I must go. He left. Then after 1 week he returned. What happened? No, my daughter was having temperature and my daughter had problems. She was sick. And they took to every doctor. They took all possible tests. Scanning, X-ray, ECG, everything is negative. Everything is okay. Now doctor said we can't find out why is sick. So then they took him to a psychiatrist. They took her to the psychiatrist. She was in 4th standard, mind you. 4th standard girl at that time. Now she has come to, I think, 9th standard. 4th standard girl, she was brought So then they discovered they could not find out. So she was brought to a psychiatrist. The psychiatrist talked to her for some time and she was like this, not revealing it. Then what the psychiatrist did, he just slapped the girl. Slapped. And when he slapped, she started weeping. And then she told the real reason. What had happened? What has happened, you tell me. It is not a physical problem, it is a mental problem. What has happened, you please tell, otherwise I am going to give another slap. Then she vomited the whole thing. What had happened is that she was in a English medium school, very promising school of Rajkot, very well known school. I will not give the name. Now, she had not done her homework. One day, naturally, these video games and TVs and all have come. So she had not done homework. She went to the school. The teacher, she told her, this is what you are doing. Now, she wrote down in her diary, this is what is there. Take the signature of your mom and bring back tomorrow. That you have not done your homework, this you must show to your mom. Now this remark was written in the diary and she had to get the signature of her mom. Now she is under tremendous tension. If I show to my mom will slap. She is afraid to face her mom. Now, if I don't get the signature of mom and go to the school, the teacher will slap. What to do? She doesn't want to go to school. She is afraid to go to school. She is afraid to go to her mom. She is afraid to tell anything to mom. She is afraid to go to the school. With this tension, her subconscious mind find out a way. Become sick. No need of going to the school. And so she became sick. This is exactly what happened. And then her mom was told, don't be so strict. You try to be loving. If one day she has played, it's okay. Don't be so strict. Her teacher was also told that it had become such a dangerous thing. Now she is okay. But this is the glaring example. How all the children are under tension. And then violence, drug addiction, schizophrenia among the children, among the students, among the youth. And all over the world, people are under tension. So at the individual level, we are suffering. At the national level, corruption is rampant. The crisis in the nation today is the crisis of character. At the international level, so many problems. Now, what is the real reason, the cause? The cause is wrong type of education. We are bringing out citizens. We are educating the children in a wrong way. And that is why they are behaving in the manner in which they are behaving. That is why the present scenario, there is an urgent need of changing the education system and have value-oriented education. Now, you will be surprised to know so many commissions were formed by the government of India, Kothari Commission, Dr. Radhakrishnan Commission, so many commissions one after another. All the commissions told that spiritual education is a must, value-oriented education is a must, but they all these reports, they were lying as reports, they were never implemented. In 1986, the government of India got alarmed and they said that in the new education policy of 1986, the value education should be given topmost priority. UNESCO told education to be rather than education to do in 1982. With all that, it has remained unimplemented. Why? Because of two reasons. Number one, ours is a secular country. Very good. That's a good thing. But it is pseudo-secularism. It is pseudo-secularism. Now the Supreme Court of India, time and again, have pointed out, point blank, that secularism does not mean that you cannot follow your religion. A Muslim can be a staunch Muslim and yet be a secular, yet can be a secular. A Hindu can be a staunch Hindu, follow his own religion, at the time he can be a secular. Only thing is that he should not have hatred towards other religions. He should allow other people to follow their own religion. So secularism meant in this nation, every individual will have the right to profess his or her own religion. And the nation will not give any preference or any partiality towards any particular religion. All will be free to follow their own religion. We took a wrong meaning. Secularism means give a goodbye to all types of religious feeling, give a goodbye to spirituality, and be secular. That means just industrial revolution, just money making and consumerism, and the only value in life is money. Only value is to have more and more goods. This wrong concept has come. Anybody professing his or her own religion becomes unsecular. That was not the thing. Supreme Court of India has pointed out time and again. This is what has happened. And in the name of secularism, we gave goodbye to all types of spiritual education. That is why when we had a seminar, the science and art to become better teacher in Rajkot, Dr. Ravindra Dave, the former director of the UNESCO Education Institution, he gave an equation on the blackboard. Present education plus spiritual education is equal to perfect education. We are lacking in that spiritual education. And that is the crux of the whole thing. On 16th April 2003, I was at Rashtrapati Bhavan talking to Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, the former President of India. I had gone there to present him a video CD that we had prepared based on the beautiful, inspiring lecture that he delivered on 16th February 2002 at Porbandar, while inaugurating one of the 81 school buildings constructed by us as a part of earthquake rehabilitation project of the Ramakrishna Mission. We had 81 school buildings all over Gujarat, out of which 37 school buildings were constructed in Porbandar district, out of which one was inaugurated by Dr. Kalam. He gave a very inspiring speech to 3,000 students. At the time he had not become president. But we invited him as a Bharat Ratna Dr. Kalam because when we found that when I read his book, India 2020, Vision of the New Millennium, I was very much happy because with this book he has categorically pointed out that if all goes well, India is prospering and India is developing in various fields, science and technology. It is fourth place, remote sensing satellite is number 1, wheat production number 1, milk production number 1. Statistically, he has pointed out that India is rising, and if we can keep up this pace, within 2020, there will be 5 countries ruling the whole world. And they will be all developed countries, and one of them would be Mera Bharat Mahan, my India. Now, this book became handy because I was telling Swami Vivekananda was a great visionary. He was not an astrologer. But whatever he predicted has come true. In 1897, Swami Vivekananda said, within 50 years, India shall become independent from British dominion. Within 50 years, India will become independent under extraordinary circumstances without waging a war. Nobody ever imagined that India could become independent. Nobody ever imagined that any country could become independent without waging a war. But it exactly happened. 2015, Gandhiji came back from South Africa, started non-cooperation movement. In 1942, there was Quit India movement. Exactly after 50 years, 1947, India became independent. Whatever Swami Vivekananda said has come true. In 1893, when Swami Vivekananda went for participate in the World's Parliament of Religion in Chicago, he delivered his historic speech on 11 September 1893. That was also 9/11. But we did not listen to his message of harmony of religion, so there was another 9/11. And the world tower broken. But he delivered his speech. But before he went for the speech, before that, he had gone a little early. He had been to Boston. He met the professor of Harvard University, Professor John Henry Wright. He was having a parlor meeting at Professor Wright's place. During the conversation, he told, after the British leave India, there is a great danger that China may attack India. Nobody ever thought that British leave India. In 1893, he told, there is a danger that China may attack India, but China did attack India in 1962. Whatever Swamiji has told has come true. And Swamiji also said, India shall conquer the whole world by spiritual power, by spiritual culture. And he also said, India will become so great that its past glory will fade into insignificance. How glorious was India in every respect. In economic field, it was called Sone ki Chidiya, topmost. Culture, spirituality, sculpture, engineering, technology, mathematics, science, geography, geometry, algebra. We had our greatest scientists, medicine, surgery. In all fields, India was on the top. But Swami Vivekananda said India will become so great that its past glory will fade into insignificance. I have been traveling all over the country, talking to the youth, talking to the students. I have gone to about more than 1,000 education institutions. Lakhs of students I have interacted with question answer session, talking to them on total personality development, character building message of Swami Vivekananda. And during those times, I used to say that India will become great. The students would not believe me. So this book was handy. I told, you will not believe me, but you listen to Dr. Kalam. And when I heard that he is also going and meeting the youth as I am going, and Swami Vivekananda said, my faith is in the younger generation. They will work out my plans and programs. So I said, here the both are matching. Then I told Dr. Kalam invited him to inaugurate one of the school building. Beautiful lecture he gave. He was asked, sir, what is the source of your inspiration? He said, normally I do not leak out this secret, but this is the right place to leak out this secret. Then he said, because this is Porbandar, this is the birthplace of Mahatma Gandhi, I will leak out the secret. He said, when I was in 8th standard, I was the monitor of my school. My principal called me one day and he said, today you have to call all the students at midnight to the school. Let them listen to the running commentary over radio. No TV at that time, 15th August 1947. India will become independent. Midnight, you listen to the running commentary. So he said, I brought all the children, all the students, and we listened to the commentary. Of course, we didn't know at that time Hindi or English. We knew only Tamil. So we could understand. But we were happy to know that the first Prime Minister of India, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, has hoisted the Indian flag and India has become independent. Then he said, next day, in the newspapers, I saw two photographs. One photograph showing Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, the first Prime Minister of India, hoisting the Indian flag in the Red Fort. I was very happy to see the photograph. And then Dr. Kalam said, and then I saw the second photograph. And that second photograph was my primary education, was my secondary education, was my higher education, and was my life education. And what was that photograph? That photograph was showing when the whole country was rejoicing over the independence, freedom that we had got. The one person who made this possible by his singular efforts, who did the maximum for achieving this freedom, who was the leader of the whole freedom movement, he was not rejoicing. What he was doing? He was walking barefooted in the streets of Calcutta, wiping the tears of the people who had been affected by the Noakhali riots. Mahatma Gandhi. That time Swami, Dr. Kalam said, I could understand what is the nobility of leadership. Had he wanted, he could have become the first Prime Minister of India. It is he who was the national father of the nation. He could have taken up the most powerful position. But for sacrifice, he was in front. Number one. For getting the results of the sacrifice, he was the last. Unlike the present ministers, for getting the chair, first. For giving sacrifice, last. He gave. So, Dr. Kalam said, I got the message. I learned the lesson of what is nobility of leadership there. And then he gave a very beautiful speech. And in my vote of thanks, at that time I had declared, he is not only a Bharat Ratna, he is a Vishwa Ratna, and he is going to become great. Within 4 months, he became the President of India. Within 4 months, it came out. So I thought, now that he has become the President of India, he will go to Rashtrapati Bhavan. Afterwards, it will be difficult for me to interact with him because a lot of protocol and all thing is there. So I rang him up. At the time, he was in Chennai, Anna University, professor of Anna University. He came all the way to the guest house to pick up my phone. I said, Dr. Kalam, I want to give advance congratulations because everybody knew he is going to become the president. He was nominated only, but everybody knew that he will get the nomination. He will become the president. I said, Dr. Kalam, I want to give you advance congratulations because once you go to Rashtrapati Bhavan, you will become inaccessible. And his character style said, not for you, Swamiji, not for you. Then he told, Swamiji, you will not believe, yesterday only I remembered you. How? There was the first big press conference and they wanted to have my message. And then I told them, I have to give the same message that I gave 4 months back at Porbandar while talking to 3,000 students. What is that? I also didn't know. He said, Swamiji, when you were giving vote of thanks, one girl came to the stage. Brushing aside all the protocol and all the security people, she just came to the stage and she asked for an autograph. So Dr. Kalam gave the autograph. Then the girl asked, what is your message for us? Dr. Kalam said to the press people, I have to give the same message that I gave that day at Porbandar on 13th February 2002. What is that? I told the girl, my dear daughter, you will grow with the idea embedded in your mind that nation is more important than the individual. And he said, this is my message for the nation today. Let us work for the nation. That is first priority. Second priority is our individual development. If that comes much before 2020, we will become a developed country. So this is what happened. He became the president. And so on 16th April 2003, I just took a chance whether I could get an appointment for 5 minutes and hand over that video CD. But he gave me 15 minutes instead of 5 minutes. And that was also a wonderful meeting. I thought that earlier he was very humble because from Rajkot to Porbandar we traveled together. He was so humble. 3 hours we talked. And he was asking me about Swami Vivekananda, and then he asked about Sri Ramakrishna, he asked about Sharda Devi. So many questions. So much so he got interested. For 3 hours I was counting that even after he came, he meditated on the room in which Swami Vivekananda stayed in Porbandar, in the meditation hall, and he got absorbed, so much absorbed, that it was very difficult for us to extricate him from the meditation. Then Dr. Kalam said, Swamiji, I was lost in meditation. He wrote also in his book, Ignited Minds, that both at Rajkot and Porbandar, sitting in that room where Swamiji had stayed in meditation, I was lost in meditation. He did not use the word samadhi, but really he said, I lost really the time becomes indeterminate. I had a first-hand experience. That is what he told. Time becomes indeterminate during the superconscious state. He went to that stage, but we took him out. The 3,000 people were waiting. Took a little breakfast, went to the school, gave a very nice speech. Then he went to the birthplace of Mahatma Gandhi, paid his respects in that Kirti Mandir, came back to our ashrama. We had lunch together. Then he left for Prasla for another retreat. And from Prasla, he went to Rajkot to take a flight to Bombay on to Chennai. Incidentally, I had also to take a flight that very day. From Rajkot to Bombay, onward to Benares for their centenary celebration. I had to speak there on next day. So I also traveled by car to Rajkot. Seeing him in the aircraft, Dr. Kalam explained, Swamiji, you are going by the same flight. I want to sit near you. I said, okay, I'll come to you. No, Swamiji, you are a monk. I should come to you. So humble. And then I told the young person who was sitting, you go to Dr. Kalam's seat. He also wanted to have, I will talk to you later. He came, sit down. Swamiji, in the morning you told so many nice things about Vivekananda. Please tell something more. So humble. Now he has become president. I was just wondering how he will behave. Anyway, I took some books, a photograph, and that CD that we had prepared. But before I could give them, he stood up and he gave me a very big basket of fruits. And when I gave all these things, He exclaimed, Swamiji, you brought so many things for me. I jokingly said, what can I bring for you? Like a fakir, I have come to meet an emperor. Like Sudama, I have come from Sudamapuri. Porbandar is Sudamapuri. Like Sudama, I have come. I am a fakir coming to meet an emperor. What can I bring for you? But he is so humble, immediately replied, only one emperor, Swamiji. We are servants of the same emperor. Tamilian touch. Same emperor. That is God. We are all servants of the same emperor. He is so humble. Then we had a lot of discussions. Then I told Dr. Kalam, you want to make India a developed country by 2020. You brought up plans. I am very happy. And you are meeting all the youth. Very happy. We are also trying to work out the plans. Swami Vivekananda also wanted that India should become great. And we are working in our own way. But I tell you one thing. Even if you bring the wealth of the whole World Bank to India, and if GDP goes further up, the poverty of the poor people will not go. Mind you, I was telling 2003, last year, really it happened, 9.5% GDP growth, 22% below poverty line. But I had predicted in 2003, even if you bring the wealth of the whole World Bank, poverty of the poor people will not go. He became very much excited. Why, Swamiji, why? I said, for the simple reason, the former Prime Minister said, if you put 1 rupee to the 5-year plan, only 15 paisa comes to the grassroots level farmer for whom all these so many development schemes are there. I am afraid even 5 paisa is coming or not. And by the time this 5 paisa reaches the farmer, by that time he has already committed suicide. This is the real picture. It has happened today. What I told in 2003. So many farmers are committing suicide. There are so many development schemes. But rampant corruption in the country. Ministers, IAS officers, IPS officers, block development officers, district development officers. By the time Karmachari, by the time it comes down, the administrative expense is so much and the corruption is so much. Everything putting some from some. And that person who is receiving, first of all, good people will never receive. Only those who can give bribe and who know how to give the bribe, they only will receive. The real needy people are not going to receive. That is why we had to fight a lot. When I was in Ranchi, Jharkhand, that time it was in Bihar. And I told Dr. Kalam, I am not telling you from the newspaper reports. I was in Ranchi for 10 years looking after our rural and tribal development project, Divyan Krishi Vigyan Kendra. That time it was in Bihar. I had to go to our, that time the capital was, that Bihar capital, Patna. I had to go there for some work. I saw with my own eyes, I had gone to meet the principal secretary to the chief minister of Bihar at that time, many years back. In his table, there was a glass. Under the glass, there was a big chart. For transfer 5 lakh, for new posting 7 lakh, everything is all systematic. No cheating. You pay 5 lakhs rupees from under the table, cash, it has to be cash. 24 hours, within 24 you get the transfer order. No government in the whole world is so efficient as Bihar government. 24 hours. The chief secretary goes along with the chief minister in the helicopter, gets the signature on the files. You know how many places the file has to move. It moves at a rocket speed. Within 24 hours you get the transfer order. But you have to pay in cash from under the table. I have seen with my own eyes. I am not telling you from the newspaper reports. I told Dr. Kalam, Dr. Kalam, I am telling you from my own first-hand experience. The corruption is so rampant in the country today, all your developed these plans will not work. Poverty of the poor people will remain. What is the solution, Swamiji? I said only one solution. What we should have done on 15th August 1947, we should do it now. What is that? Swami Vivekananda said, education alone is a panacea of all our evils. But what type of education? Not the present system of education which we are giving. Swami Vivekananda said, what we want is man-making education, character-building education. And sometimes I jokingly say, what we are giving is not man-making education, demon-making education. Rakshasa-making education, terrorist-making education. Who is a Rakshasa? Demon. Bhartrihari says in his book Niti Shatakam, there are 4 types of people in the society today. Which are the 4 types? एते सत्पुरुषाः परार्थ घटका स्वार्थान् परित्यज्य सामान्यस्तु परार्थम उद्यम भरत स्वार्थ अविरोधेन ये तेपि मानव राक्षसाः परहितम स्वार्थाय निघ्नन्ति ये तु निघ्नन्ति निरर्थकम परहितम तेके न जानीमहे. 4 types of people. Number 1, Satpurusha, good human, excellent human beings. What do? They try to do good to others even by sacrificing their own self-interest. Second, Samanya Manusha, ordinary human beings. What do they try to do? They first try to do good to themselves and then they try to do good to others. Third, Manav Rakshasaha. They are looking like human beings, but they are Manav, they are like demons. What do? For their small self-interest, they can do any amount of harm to others. Example, plenty. Everywhere you will get. An executive engineer takes 10 lakhs of bribe from under the table and tells the builder, you can mix any amount of sand with the cement. And a check dam is constructed, the government check dam, and when there is heavy rain, it is washed out because it is all sand. But that engineer, he is not affected. He laughs, he says, koi baat nahi, mera to 10 lakh mein makan ban gaya, desh jaye bhaad mein. Thousands of people become homeless. Hundreds of people die. Crores of rupees lost to the nation. But nothing happens to that engineer. He is very happy. We are producing engineers, doctors, chartered accountants, professionals, MBAs, giants, brilliant. They are all brilliant. Scientists, brilliant. They are giants, but selfish giants. They are all selfish giants. I talk to the youth all over the country, and then I ask them, so many, I am telling you, the youths are same everywhere. I have been to Uttarakhand so many times. I have been to South India. I have talked to the students of TVS School Madurai. I have talked to the best students of Dehradun, Velam Boys School, Velam Girls School, the Doon School, ordinary schools, Madhya Pradesh, MP, Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand, Bihar, so many places, Gujarat, Maharashtra, of course, so many places I have been traveling. Everywhere youths are the same. I ask them, what is the purpose of your life? जीवन का लक्ष्य क्या है? बस इंजीनियर बनूंगा, डॉक्टर बनूंगा, चार्टर्ड अकाउंट बनूंगा, फिर बहुत पैसा कमाऊंगा, कैरियर डेवलप करूंगा, पैसा कमाऊंगा, फिर बस जब पैसा आ गया तब तो मजा ही मजा है. देश का क्या होगा? देश जाए भाड़ में. हम तो अपना कैरियर डेवलप करेंगे. समाज का क्या होगा? समाज जाए भाड़ में. मैं तो कह रहा अपना कैरियर डेवलप करूंगा. देन आई टेल देम, अच्छा भैया बात सुनो, तुम्हारा देश भाड़ में जाएगा, तुम्हारा समाज भाड़ में जाएगा, तुम कहां जाओगे? इतना तो सोचो, अपने आप को बचाने के लिए तो देश के बारे में सोचो. ट्राई टू थिंक ऑफ द नेशन, एटलीस्ट फॉर योर ओन सेल्फ इंटरेस्ट. दिस वी आर फॉरगेटिंग. वी आर प्रोड्यूसिंग सेल्फिश जायंट्स, मानव राक्षसा. One of our devotees from Rajkot, when I was in Rajkot, one of our devotees went to Bombay because she was told that that disease was very complicated and it had to be shown to a specialist in Bombay. After returning, that devotee said, Swamiji, should I tell you frankly what happened? When we went to that specialist in Bombay, that specialist did not ask, since how long the patient is suffering, what is the problem, what is the trouble. The number one question was, how much can you spend? And according to the budget, we will show the disease. If the budget is 3.5 lakhs copies, 3.5 lakhs rupees, don't worry. Within 3.5 lakhs, we will finish the project. We will carry out blood report, urine report, stool report, all types of investigation in our own laboratory. We will produce the report in the manner in which we want. And then, even if there is no need, we will say that there is an urgent need of an operation. And if the patient dies on the operation theatre, don't worry, the expenditure for the cremation is also involved in this 3.5 lakh package. That is the package. Don't worry. The patient will be killed for getting 3.5 lakh rupees. This is what is happening. This is the type of, and in the medical field, how much corruption is going on. You do not know. You do not know. There is so much of commission everywhere with the medical practitioners, doctors, medical stores. In the field of Government offices, there's so much of corruption. In every field there is corruption. Without corruption you cannot move an inch. You can understand how much difficult for us to work in this society today. Because we are preaching against corruption, we say that those who take bribe are really responsible for corruption, but who give bribe are also responsible. So we cannot give. And without bribe nothing moves. Understand how much difficult. We have purchased the land, we have paid the taxes, we have paid the stamp duty, everything. Whatever is official rates we have paid. Now it has to be brought to the government records. The collector himself told, unless until you give bribe, I am not going to do that. For 10 years we had to wait till another good officer came. It did not move. The file did not move. First-hand experience. We are having first-hand experience of the great rampant corruption in the country today. So then Dr. Kalam said, what is the solution? I said, this is the only solution. We have to change the whole education system, which we should have changed. Because this education system was brought by Lord Macaulay. And incidentally, I have got a beautiful thing. I have got a letter. I have got a speech. Lord Macaulay, in his speech of February 2, 1835, British Parliament. This is the extract of his speech. What does he say? Lord Macaulay says in the British Parliament on 2 February 1835, I have travelled across the length and breadth of India and I have not seen one person who is a thief. Such wealth I have seen in this country, such high moral values, people of such caliber that I do not think we would ever conquer this country unless we break the very backbone of this nation, which is her spiritual and cultural heritage. And therefore, I propose that we replace her old and ancient education system, her culture, for if the Indians think that all that is foreign and English is good and greater than their own, they will lose their self-esteem, their native self-culture, and they will become what we want them, that is, a truly dominated nation. This was the plan. And then, in 1838, Lord Macaulay wrote to his father, beautiful letter, in which he says, Father, I am so happy to tell you, the plans that I have started working wonderfully well. And then he says, no Hindu who has ever received education in our type of system remains ever attached to his religion. He becomes an enemy of Indian religion. He becomes completely atheist. He loses faith for the gods and goddesses because I don't want to become an idolater, he says. This is the brainwashing that was done. They wanted us to remain as slaves, black in complexion, but in all possible ways, the servants of the British people, they wanted us to be servants. For that, a typical education system was started by Lord Macaulay. After the independence, we are continuing with that system till today. As on today, we are having the same system. And mind you, where is the corruption? Among the top 10 countries, topmost 10 countries having highest corruption, India is there. And some years back, Reader's Digest brought out a survey, which is the most honest country. They brought out a survey for which, what did they do? In Singapore, in India, in other countries, they devised various means. They just kept some briefcases, bags with some money and some address also, so that they could contact. In Singapore, out of 10, not a single person returned the bag. And the highest number of bags were returned in India, the most honest country in the world even today. But that was a rickshaw driver. The person, and there was a boot polish wala, a boy, he found the bag. Now what did they have to do? Only ring up. The telephone number was there. He had not even 1 rupee. He took 1 rupee on loan and telephoned. Listen to the story further. And he telephoned, taking 1 rupee loan, and returned the pocket to the owner. And the owner, out of 75,000 rupees, wanted to give 5,000 rupees as bakshish. He said, no, I will take money only out of my labor. I will not take any other money. He did not accept the money. And that is why Reader's Digest brought out, this is the greatness of India. This is the great spiritual culture of India. Rickshaw walas are honest. Boot polish wala are honest. Villagers are honest. Who are corrupt? IAS officers, IPS officers, politicians, educators. Higher the education, the greater is the corruption. This is what education policy we are having. The greater is the education, the greater is the corruption. Those who are not educated are less corrupt. So, now where do we stand? What is our education? What type of education we are giving? That is Rakshasa making education, demon making education. And then Bhartrihari says there is 4th type of person also. But I can't give the name. Te ke na jani mahe. First type Satpurusha, second Samana Manusha, third Manav Rakshasa. Now what name I should give? Because they are worse than Manav Rakshasa. But I can tell you what do they do. The third type of people, for their small self-interest, they can do any amount of harm to others. The 4th type people, they don't derive any benefit, but they enjoy others' downfall and others' harm. They are very happy to see the harm being done to others. Anybody's house is burning, very nice, they are enjoying. Did you get any benefit? No, but his house is burning, I am so happy. These are the 4th type. Without getting any benefit, they derive joy out of harm to others. This is the 4th type. And I have made a latest research now. 5th type is also there. Maybe at the time of Bhartrihari it was not there. I can't give the name because there is no name for the 4th type, but they are worse than the 4th type. What is that? The 4th type of people, they derive joy out of the downfall of others and out of harm for others, without getting any benefit for themselves. 5th type of people, they derive so much of joy by others' harm that by harming themselves they do harm to others. So what do? They sit down in an aeroplane and strike with the world tower. 5,000 people dead. I am killed, doesn't matter. But 5,000 people died. Kya maja aa gaya. What a joy. 5,000 people killed. Terrorist. And then you must have listened to the story of a conch shell and a person who had received the conch shell with the blessings of the God and all that. You must have heard that story. That one person, he brings that conch shell and he prays, and then he gets one new house and the neighbor gets 2 houses, and then he loses all his sleep and he becomes restless and he becomes so agitated, he becomes so miserable. My God, I brought the conch shell, I got only 1 house, and this fellow, the neighbor with whom I am quarreling all the time, has got 2 houses. So ultimately, what did he do? He sat down and worshipped the conch shell, and then when the God appeared from the conch shell, what do you want? He said, let there be 1 well before my house. Naturally, automatically 2 wells appeared on the front of 2 houses. Then he said, let me lose 1 eye. So the neighbor's 2 eyes were gone. He became blind. He fell down to the well and died. I'm so happy. I have become blind by 1 eye. But the fellow has died. So by harming myself, I will harm others. This is the 5th type. Now in our country today, in the society today, lot of Manav Rakshasa are there. Externally they are looking beautiful. You see, they are not having horns. They may be in safari suit, they may be in Banarasi sari. Rakshasa and Rakshasa everywhere you will get. External. But inside, Manav Rakshasa. 3rd type is there. 4th type is there. 5th type is there. Samana Manushya, very less. And Satpurusha, we have to see with the microscope, not available, not to be seen. This is our situation today. That is why now remember what Swami Vivekananda said. Swami Vivekananda said what we want is man-making education, character-building education, and what we are trying to give is demon-making education, Rakshasa-making education, and parrot-making education. What is we are giving? Just take some information, mug it up, vomit during the examination. After 5 minutes of examination, I don't remember because the examination is given, it's forgotten. And he has been told to mug up all the things. He knows. He has learned by heart what is the width of Amazon river. But he does not know the width of the river he is crossing every day. All our education is just information, information, information. Swami Vivekananda said, education is not the amount of information that is put into your brain and runs riot there, undigested all your life. If you can digest 5 ideas, you are much more educated than a person who has learned the whole library by his heart. And now you don't have to learn the whole library, just have a Google search, all the information that is your table. Why do you want to feed this information into the brain of these people? Why not have creativity? Why not give them the proper education of how to become a better human being, a better enlightened citizen? No. There is so much of syllabus. When I go to the schools, I tell at least 2 periods in the, no, Swamiji, do not know, already we are short of time. I said, National Youth Day, Swami Vivekananda's birthday celebrated as National Youth Day. You must celebrate National Youth Day. Even I made the circulars. The government of Gujarat gave circulars to all the schools that you must celebrate. But when I approached them, no, how can we celebrate? Why? So much of syllabus is to be finished. They cannot give even 1 hour per year for giving proper ideas to the people. And then they have got enough time to go to the hospital for looking after the children who have become mentally sick. For that you get the time. This is the result you will get. And I do not know, I do not want it. God forbid this may happen. But if we continue to be so much callous about introducing on an urgent basis value education in our schools and colleges, I am damn sure all the evils of the Western society already is coming. It will be much more spread like wildfire, and within 5 years we will have many incidents like Columbian School. We will have many drug addicts, we will have many schizophrenia, and rampant increase in AIDS and suicides and drug addiction and Columbian School violence. All this is going to happen. None can prevent it unless until we have a total transformation of our education system. There is no other way out. Root and branch reform in our education system. We have to say goodbye to the system, education system, which was introduced by Lord Macaulay for the purpose which I have narrated. There is no other way out. So when I told this to Dr. Kalam, he was very much impressed. He said, Swami, and then I told him that we are trying to give this value education in all our schools and colleges. We have 6,000 education institutions in which 6 lakh students are studying in various branches of Ramakrishna Merchant Mission. As you know, Swami Vivekananda started this Ramakrishna Mission. Why? For implementing the message of his master Sri Ramakrishna of worshipping God in man, Shiva Jnana Jiva Seva. And that is why he exhorted all the monks like us, give up your family members, give up all your personal joy and join this great venture of Atmano Mokshartham Jagat Hitaya Cha. The previous formula was Atmano Mokshartham, forget about it. Not personal salvation. Jagat Hitaya Cha. Personal salvation, perfection, God realization while serving others. Even to long for your own salvation is also some sort of selfishness, a subtle selfishness. No. Unselfish service what we want. So it will work 2 ways. The person whom you are serving will also benefit it. So Swami Vivekananda said, he said, you must have heard the mantras. What are the mantras? Matru Devo Bhava, Pitru Devo Bhava, Acharya Devo Bhava, Atithi Devo Bhava. I am giving you some additional mantras which are much more important for the modern age. What is that? Daridra Devo Bhava, Rogi Devo Bhava. Because our Vedanta says inside every human being there is that Atman, the soul, which is beyond time, space and causation, which is beyond all miseries, birthless, deathless, ever pure, ever blissful Atman, is the reality is the center of consciousness present in every human being, irrespective of caste, creed, color, religion, nationality. Esha sarveshu bhuteshu gudo atmana prakashate drishyate tvagraya buddhya sukshmaya sushmadarshvi. Inside every human being, there is that potential divinity. God is present. So we try to worship God in man. For that, and Swami Vivekananda did not only give the message, he started a practical demonstration. Even the monks, he told, you must work for the whole day. No meditation. No. Morning, evening meditation, of course. But whole day you have to work. And we have so many service projects. So we have 172 branch centers of Ramakrishna Mutt and Mission with the headquarters at Bellumat. And we have 14 indoor hospitals, 60 mobile dispensaries, 90 outdoor dispensaries, through which 1 crore of patients are treated free of cost every year. 6,000 educational institutions in which 6 lakh students are studying. We try to give that value-oriented education. Tribal development projects, rural development projects, so many crores of rupees of that. Disaster management, whenever there is disaster, immediately we try to carry out the relief services and the rehabilitation services. All these service activities, the basic purpose is worship of God in man. So when I told about this, we are trying to do that. Not only that, what we have done, that we are going to so many other schools and colleges which are not run by us. And we have started resource centers for giving value-oriented education. Ramakrishna Institute of Moral and Spiritual Education at Mysore, Vivekananda Institute of Human Excellence in Hyderabad, likewise so many institutions. And then I told Dr. Kalam, we are also going to start Vivekananda Institute of Value Education Culture, VIVC, Vivek at Porbandar. And we would like that you inaugurate the project. And he kept his promise. On 12 January 2006, he came to Porbandar, inaugurated Vivekananda Institute of Value Education Culture, and gave a very inspiring speech. That day, as you know, 12 January is Swami Vivekananda's birthday, which is celebrated as National Youth Day all over the country. So he told about Swami Vivekananda that he is not only the great personality of India, but of the whole globe. And then he narrated how Swami Vivekananda inspired Jamshedji Tata to start Indian Institute of Science. While traveling from Japan to America in the same ship, both were there. Swami Vivekananda was going for participating in the World's Parliament Religion in Chicago, and Jamshedji Tata was going there for the industrial exposition. Both met in the ship and they had this dialogue. And then Dr. Kalam gave replies to the questions that were put by the youth. Wonderful question answer session. I want that every one of you must get that video CD, DVD that we have brought, one video CD we have prepared, and you show it to your students, in your education institutions, to your friends, worth showing it, only 1 hour CD, wonderful. In which I will just give one sample. One student stood up and said, Sir, Operation Duryodhan, Operation Chakravyuh and other operations have revealed the tip of the iceberg, that is rampant corruption in the country today. As the President of India, how do you feel about it? And where do you think lies the solution? And Dr. Kalam stood up and he said, you know, the Parliament has already taken some action on those MPs. And then he took out a book of Swami Vivekananda. He took out a book of Swami Vivekananda and read a paragraph from the book, where Swami Vivekananda says, no amount of Parliament acts can make a nation good and can make a nation great. No amount of Parliament acts can make a nation good, can make a nation great. Then what can make a nation good and great? And again he read out from the book of Swami Vivekananda. Only a large number of good enlightened citizens, a large number of good enlightened people can make a nation good and can make a nation great. And then Dr. Kalam said, and the government cannot produce good people and the government will not produce good people. That also he told. Then who can do it? Only 3 persons can do it, he said. Who are they? Father, mother and the teacher, nobody else. This is the great role of teachers, parents in providing value-oriented education. They only can do it. Nobody else can do it. By a Parliament, what will you do? The moment you find out one law, on the same day, Same night, all the advocates will work together and find out how the look and how to get out of the income tax practitioners. They will find out how to get rid of the law. That is not going to solve the problem. Father, mother and the teacher. So, Dr. Radhakrishnan says, man-making cannot take place like an industry. No, it can be done only, it involves a lot of efforts, because what is character? Swami Vivekananda says, character is nothing but a bundle of habits. So, and what is habit? You sow a thought, reap an action, sow an action, reap a habit, sow a habit, reap a character. So, character is nothing but a bundle of habits. It is based of samskaras. And how these samskaras come? There are 4 factors responsible for changing the samskaras of an individual. Whatever samskara, everybody's character is nothing but the bundle of samskaras. And how these samskaras? What are the parameters? 4 parameters. 4 factors are responsible for the samskaras or the impressions of every child or every individual. What are the 4 factors? Number 1, the samskaras received from the individual through past birth, over which we do not have any control. But it makes. Some children are born very pure. Some children are born with great evil qualities. This is because of the past samskara. Second, the samskaras received from the parents, either genetically, through the blood, or through behavior pattern. Third, samskaras received from the environment. What type of company a student is keeping and an individual is keeping, very important. What type of programs one is seeing in TV, very important. What type of internet viewing is being done by the student, very important. What type of atmosphere, whether he is staying in Ahmedabad or in a village or in New York or in Bombay, all this will play a part. And what type of friend circle one has got. So outside environment is the 3rd factor. And the 4th factor is the educational institution in which a person is studying. The whole education institution, teachers, and the type of environment in the school or in the institution, that plays a very important part. Most important is teacher. That is why I call teachers a torch bearers of change. They are the only torch bearers of change. They only can bring about the change. Why? Because the parents, though the teachers will say parents are having more control because we are having only for 8 hours. Ready? They are only for 8 hours. But then the parents themselves are ignorant. What type of education they will give? And then, do you think the politicians will give education? They will be responsible. When I go to various schools, many principals say, Swamiji, why have you come to this? Why have you come? Our children are nice. Why don't you go to the politicians? It is they who are doing corruption. They are taking away the grass. They are taking away the fodder. 10,000 crores rupees of fodder was taken by somebody. So much of corruption done by the politicians. Why don't you change them? Why don't you talk to them? I said, not that we are not talking to them, but we have been talking to them for a long time, but no result. No result. So, we have come to the conclusion, the milk which has been spoiled cannot come to any use. The milk which has not been spoiled, that is, these children, their mind is not yet spoiled, they are fresh. We can convert them. The children who are in the school, particularly in the unripe age, they can be given good samskaras and they can become Mahatma Gandhi, Subhash Chandra Bose or whatever you want. But very difficult to change the politicians. Yet, I said, not that we don't talk to them, we are trying to make paneer out of it. We are not rejected them outright. Still, we try to make paneer out of it. They will now, we invite them. You see, Baroda, the Dilaram Bungalow, historic bungalow, where Swami Vivekananda himself stayed as the guest of the then Diwan Manibhai Jasbhai. There's a historic place. People from all over the world are coming to pay their respect to Swami Vivekananda. There's a meditation chamber and meditation hall, meditation room, and so many other activities are there, be library and all that. Why don't you visit? Yes, we'll visit, but they will not come. Then We find out the way. We make them chief guest in some function. Then they will come. And we garland them. And we give them nice, beautiful books. And they give such beautiful talk. Okay, at least one minister we have changed. But second day again newspaper, same thing. Corruption. So rampant. But we are trying to make paneer out of it. But here the children particularly, they are moldable. It is there we will have to work at that level. So character building will start. Character building, nothing but the Bandala, as I told you, character building is a must. But if you want a strong character, if you want a strong building, you must have strong foundation. If you want a strong character, you must have strong foundation. But this foundation has to be laid before the building is constructed. Similarly, the foundation of the character should come in childhood, preferably. Of course, even at the age of 90 years also one could receive inspiration and change and transform oneself. But then more or less, the children are much more moldable. So we have to work at that level. So this is what is there. Man making character building education, if that comes, that is the only panacea. Otherwise there is no other solution. Rest, there are so many other things to be talked about. But what I will do is that, rather than talking myself, let us have two-way. You ask me any number of questions, I will try to reply. That will work much better. You ask questions, I will give replies, and then whatever is left out, that I will try to share with you. But for the time being, let us have a cup of tea. Thank you.